Mr. Beneil Dariush, how are you, sir?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, and thank you for joining me. You are currently 17 4-1 in your mixed martial arts journey, and you're taking on Drakkar Klose at UFC 248 on March 7th. So I know you got married recently. How's married life treating you, and how's the wedding?
Married life is good. The wedding was stressful getting it all done, but we got it done. But can't complain about married life. Married life is great.
Congratulations on that. So were you in training camp when you actually tied the knot?
Yeah, February 1st, so about 3 weeks ago.
Were you able to make it without any black eyes or bumps and bruises?
No, I had a black eye. No,
What did the wife have to say about that?
nah, uh, we tried our best.
Fair enough.
She knows. She wasn't happy, but she gets it.
All right, so you're on a three-fight winning streak, and two of those wins came by way of submission. You submitted Drew Dober with this slick armbar from the triangle, and then you caught Frank Camacho in a rear naked choke. Both outings earned you a performance bonus, which is super cool. That's 100 grand in bonus money. How much of that do you kind of reinvest into your training?
Uh, for me, I mean, everything's close to me. My team is close by, and so most of this money actually went towards the wedding. The wedding was real big. As far as my training goes, I reinvest I mean, as far as I I wrestle 3-4 times a week, and I have two of those are one-on-ones. I have striking where I do one-on-one. So, and I'm all my coaches have to be paid, So that's where the some of the money goes, but this time a lot of it went for the wedding.
Understandable, and I'm sure your wife appreciated that. And a lot of people don't realize how expensive training camp is. They see fighter salaries and like, oh, well, they got paid this much, and it's like, yeah, well, taxes and coaches and food and all these other things really do kind of add up. So it's not cheap to be a fighter by any means.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. And then there's people who have to go train somewhere else for their camps, or when I fight in elevation, I have to leave early. I have to leave early and go stay in elevation. But those are usually the most expensive. But this one I didn't have to. So it's not too bad.
Do you have any advice that you would give to up and coming fighters who might earn a performance bonus and ways to manage that kind of money?
Save your money. We don't fight as much as we like. We think we're going to fight so many times, and we end up fighting less.
Yeah.
I mean, generally speaking, most of the time we fight less than we expect. On very few occasions we fight more.
Yeah, I mean, your boy Giga Chikadze, he was supposed to fight at UFC Norfolk. His opponent Mike Davis pulled out for the second time, so I mean, you never know when that fight might fall through. That's a very good point.
Yeah,
So
very hard for him.
so a lot of guys are really having a lot of trouble with your grappling. So you're just really kind of owning it once it gets to the floor. Guys are struggling. How do you feel like your grappling stacks up against the rest of the division?
I feel, I feel like I have an advantage in grappling with just about anybody I fight. I haven't really felt like I fought anyone who had an advantage on me in grappling. So I feel good when the fight goes to the ground. Um, but I try to be in mixed martial artist where I'm capable of doing whatever necessary. With Frank, I had some success standing as well before the fight went to the ground. With Dober, actually, it was the opposite. I didn't have a lot of success standing, but thankfully, I had just enough defense where when I was in trouble, I was able to survive and then get the fight to the ground. And even if it is just defense, not offense, it still makes a difference. So standing is very important to me.
Absolutely. So now you're fighting Drakkar Klose, UFC 248, like we said. He's 11-1 and on a 3-fight winning streak himself. He was a collegiate wrestler, pretty good in the clinch, and he mixes things up pretty well. Do you think that he's going to close the distance for you, looking for the takedown, or do you think he's going to want to keep it standing?
Not really sure. I'm not really thinking about what he wants to do. I'm more focused on what I'm going to do. I don't know. Don't really give too much thought about his game and his style and what he wants to do. I just want to make sure I show up on the 7th and I show up feeling good.
Do you study any tape on your opponents, or is that something you'd rather just stay away from?
No, I'll watch tape on my opponents. I'll watch a little bit of tape, but I don't like to invest too much time into tape. Sometimes you get too focused on your opponent instead of yourself. I rather watch my own training and my own sparring sessions and develop from there.
From the tape you have watched, what do you feel like is his biggest asset? Where do you think he's most dangerous?
I think he's an intelligent fighter. I think we don't recognize that because everybody thinks he's aggressive. People think his best attribute is being aggressive, but you have to notice he goes to a lot of decision wins. And to be able to win decisions, you have to be intelligent. You need to know when to push, when to back up, when you're behind, when you're ahead, and how to control the tempo of the fight. So I will say that he is an intelligent fighter to be able to win 6 or is it 5 or 6 fights in the UFC and all by decision.
So, I mean, are you tailoring any of your training camp towards him, or is it usually just the relatively the same kind of procedure for every camp?
Pretty much the same for every camp. I focus on developing my grappling and my striking and finding a new limit as far as conditioning goes. I think it's a mistake when for me personally, when I spend too much time focusing on my opponent. Plus, opponents change all the time, so you never know.
That's a very good point. So you mentioned Drakkar Klose. He's been to the scorecards in each of his UFC outings. Do you think this one's going to reach the scorecards as well?
Not if I can help it. I mean, that's not how I want to finish the fight, but my goal is to win. If it's a decision, fine, but I think I can finish him whether it be standing or on the ground. So I think I have more tools to finish the fight.
Okay, now this is your first fight of the year. What are your goals for 2020? I mean, is there a certain amount of fights you would like to get, or are there any particular matchups you're kind of going after?
Definitely, if I could do 3 fights this year, that'd be wonderful. And if not, I'd like to do this fight and get a top 10, top 5 opponent next. I've had plenty of fights. I follow lots of guys, so it would be nice to fight someone up there. But if not, whatever. I just want to continue to fight these guys that I'm fighting because I'm fighting some of the best guys. I enjoy competition, so that's all it is.
Now, we've spoken in the past, and you talked about how your family kind of wanted you to go in a different direction and not into the combat sports realm. But now, seeing all the success that you've had, have they kind of come around to you being a prize fighter?
Oh, definitely. They definitely come around, and I don't present myself as a prize fighter. I know there's that one day or two, 3 times a year that I fight, but they know who I am. They know I'm a martial artist. They know I wake up in the morning. I'm disciplined. I do my job. They know I'm consistent with everything I do, and they understand and they respect that. And I think that's been the biggest difference. If it was one of those things where I was just like going hard in fight camp and then partying after, I don't think it would have worked out so much. But just because who I am and how I move through my life, I think that's been the biggest reason why they kind of jumped on the bandwagon.
Okay, that's awesome. That's definitely awesome. So you said you got married on the 1st of February. Does that mean you're going to postpone the honeymoon until after this fight?
That's correct.
Where are you headed? Anywhere in particular?
Oh man, my poor wife. I told her, you know, Marvin's fighting, so we'll probably go to London, and then we'll figure it out from there. So it's technically a honeymoon, but it's not because we're going to see London. We're going to take care of Marvin as well, and she has some experience cornering fighters. It's hard when you corner, even when I corner other fighters, because it's demanding. So we'll start with London, but I have a feeling I'm gonna have to do another one at the end of the year or something. Maybe we can take her somewhere in Asia.
Well, maybe it'll be a tax write-off then, since it's kind of business related.
We'll see, man.
So, do you get more nervous when you're cornering someone versus when you're fighting yourself?
I've come to realize it's different. I do get nervous for both, but it's different. The nervous I get when I corner, it's did I do enough for my teammate? Was I there for them? Did I cover all my bases? When I'm fighting, it's just you have the nerves of I want to perform, I want to win, and I got to be in front of thousands of people, and so it's a little bit different.
All right, so at the top of the lightweight division, Tony Ferguson's taking on Khabib Nurmagomedov. Hopefully, who takes that?
I'm leaning towards Khabib, but I also think Tony can definitely pull it off. It's it's so close. It's like 55-45 kind of thing. I'm not leaning that hard towards Khabib. Tony is he's an interesting fighter. He's got an interesting set of skills, so it'll be an interesting fight.
I just hope it happens, to be quite honest.
That's the other thing. I hope it happens too, man. I think this is number 6 they're trying, or number 5 they're trying.
Something crazy.
Something crazy like that. But look how big the fight is now, because they've had to reset this fight so many times. It's huge.
Well, you got any sponsors or people you'd like to give a special shout out or thank you to?
Oh man, I just thank God that I'm able to make it to the octagon and just able to do this. I'm appreciative of the life I have and the opportunity I have these coming days.
Always gracious. So what are your social media outlets? How can people follow you along your journey and stay up to date with the ins and outs?
I'm mostly on Instagram, I guess. Barely on that, if anything. But Beneil Dariush on Instagram, and same thing on Twitter, Beneil Dariush. If you can spell my name, you'll find me on both of those.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Beneil Dariush, thank you so much for taking out the time once again. Drakkar Klose is in your crosshairs, UFC 248 on March 7th. Have fun out there.
Thanks, bro. Take care.